It was supposed to be a simple overnight stop. Nothing unusual, nothing memorable. Just another forgotten motel on a highway that stretched endlessly through the dark. I had been driving for nearly 10 hours that night. The road was empty, kind of empty that makes you feel like the entire world has gone silent. No headlights behind me, no cars passing by, just the dull hum of my tires against the pavement and the faint glow of my dashboard clock. 2:17 a.m. I remember that number clearly, because that was the moment when I saw the motel sign. A flickering neon light buzzed weakly in the distance, illuminating a small gravel parking lot and a row of identical doors. Sunset Valley Motel. At least, that's what the sign looked like it said. Half the letters had burned out, but I didn't really care. I was exhausted, and the idea of sleeping in my car on the side of the road sounded worse than spending a night in a cheap motel, so I pulled in. Looking back now, I wish I had just kept driving. The parking lot was almost completely empty. Only 2 cars sat near the far end of the building, both covered in a thin layer of dust, like they hadn't been moved in days. The office light was on, though. That alone surprised me. Hotels this small usually close their office at night. When I walked in, I found an old man sitting behind the counter, staring down at a small television playing static-filled late-night news. He looked up slowly when the bell above the door jingled. His expression didn't change. No smile, no greeting, just a long, uncomfortable stare. Finally, he spoke. "Staying the night?" His voice sounded rough, almost tired. I nodded. "Yeah, just passing through." He slid a clipboard toward me. "Fill this out." When I wrote down my name and license plate number, I noticed something strange. The office walls were lined with security monitors, at least 10 of them, all showing different angles of the motel. Parking lot, hallways, doors, every single room. And every monitor was black and white, grainy, like something from the early 90s. The old man handed me a key, not a card, an actual metal key attached to a faded plastic tag. Room 12. Then he leaned closer to me and said something that made the hairs on my neck stand up. "Lock your door tonight." I gave a small laugh. Of course. But he didn't laugh back. His expression stayed completely serious. "Lock it, and don't open it for anyone." Room 12 was near the middle of the building. The hallway smelled like old carpet and cigarette smoke. When I unlocked the door and stepped inside, the room looked exactly like you'd expect from a roadside motel. Small bed, flickering lamp, TV mounted to the wall. Probably hadn't been replaced in 20 years. But something about the room felt off. Not dirty, not broken, just unsettling, like walking into a place where something bad had happened. I shook the thought away. I was tired, probably just my imagination running wild after 10 hours on the road. I locked the door, checked the bathroom, looked under the bed. Nothing. Everything was normal. So I turned off the lights and laid down. For a while, all I could hear was the faint buzzing of the neon motel sign outside my window. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Eventually, exhaustion pulled me into sleep. That sleep didn't last long, because sometime later, I heard knocking. At first, I thought I was dreaming. Knocking was soft, slow, 3 gentle taps against the door. Knock, knock, knock. My eyes opened immediately. The room was dark except for the faint blue glow of the digital clock. 3:04 a.m. I held my breath and listened. Silence. For a moment, I thought maybe someone had the wrong room. Then, knocking happened again, this time louder. Knock, knock, knock. My heart started pounding. I remembered what the old man had said. Don't open the door for anyone. Still, curiosity got the better of me. I quietly got out of bed and walked toward the door. There was no peephole, so the only way to see outside was through the thin crack in the curtains covering the window beside the door. I slowly pulled the curtain back and looked out. The hallway was empty. No one standing there. No footsteps. No shadows. Nothing. I stared for several seconds, confused, and suddenly, knock, right behind me, on the door. I nearly jumped out of my skin. The knock had come from inches away. Whoever was outside had moved directly in front of the door. A man's voice spoke from the other side, soft, almost whispering. "Hello?" My throat went dry. "Can you help me?" Voice sounded shaky, nervous, like someone in trouble. My car broke down. I hesitated. Every instinct told me something wasn't right. Part of me felt guilty ignoring someone who might genuinely need help. So I walked back toward the window and pulled the curtain just slightly. That's when I saw him, a tall man standing directly in front of my door. His face was partially hidden in the shadows. Something about the way he stood felt wrong. Completely still, not shifting his weight, not moving, just standing there, staring straight ahead. Then he spoke again. This time, his voice had changed. It was deeper, almost irritated. "Open the door." My heart began racing. Something about the situation suddenly felt very, very dangerous. "I can't help you," I said through the door. "You should go to the front office." The hallway went silent. For several long seconds, there was no response. Then the man spoke again. This time, he wasn't whispering, and he wasn't asking. He was angry. "Open the door." That's when I heard something that made my blood run cold. Footsteps. Not one pair, multiple, slowly approaching down the hallway. I froze. The man outside my door wasn't alone. I rushed back to the window and peeked through the curtain again. 3 more figures were walking toward room 12 from the far end of the motel. My stomach dropped. They weren't guests. They were all wearing dark hoodies, moving quietly, like they didn't want to be seen. The man at my door knocked again, harder this time. Knock, knock, knock. "Open it." Panic surged through my chest. I stepped away from the door and grabbed my phone. No signal, of course. And suddenly, I heard another sound, a loud voice from the far end of the hallway. "Hey!" All 4 men turned. Standing near the office entrance was the old motel clerk, and in his hands was a shotgun. "Get off my property." The hallway exploded into movement. Men ran, footsteps echoing loudly as they disappeared into the darkness outside. Within seconds, the parking lot was silent again. I didn't sleep for the rest of the night. I stayed sitting on the bed, staring at the door, waiting for the sun to rise. Around 6 a.m., there was another knock. This time it was gentle. "It's me," the old man said. I slowly opened the door. He looked exhausted, calm. "Those men come around sometimes," he said. "They look for travelers staying alone." A chill ran through my body. What would they have done if I opened the door? The old man didn't answer right away. Instead, he glanced down the hallway, then back at me. "You don't want to know." He paused before adding something else, something that still haunts me. "That's why I watched the cameras all night." He pointed toward the office. "I saw them walking toward your room. I packed my things quickly and left the motel within minutes. Before driving away, I noticed something strange. 2 dusty cars parked at the far end of the lot, gone. And suddenly, I understood something terrifying. Those men had been waiting there all night, watching, waiting for someone like me to arrive.